Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha, Gurureva Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Chinmayam Vyapyat Sarvam, Trilokyam Sacharacharam, Tatpadam Darshitam Yena, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Tvameva Mata Chapita Tvameva, Tvameva Bandhuscha Sakha Tvameva, Tvameva Vidya Dravidam Tvameva, Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva, Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva. Om Sahana Bhavatu, Sahanau Bhunaktu, Sahaviryam Karavavahai, Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. So we are in the 6th chapter still, and I think verse 193, is that correct, Mark?
Yes, that's correct.
So, Ganesh, can you help us out, please?
Sure. Anyonyaധ്യാസരൂപോ സ आवन्नलिप्तपटो यथा घटितेनैकतामेति तद्वद्भ्रान्त्यैकतां गतः. In a piece of cloth stiffened with starch, the starch becomes one with the cloth. So by the process of mutual superimposition, the ignorant conceive Ishvara to be one with Paramatman.
So, Ishvara here, the Lord of creation, the ruler. Even the name Ishvara comes from the root ichati, which is to wish or to will or to intend. So there is a God which is running things. But that is one of the glories of the infinite, not the infinite itself. Yet it is the infinite. So we have what we call Nirguna Brahman, Brahman without qualities. Saguna Brahman, Brahman with qualities. This relationless relationship between consciousness and the world of form. And listen carefully. In Mandukya, we have the description of Ishvara, the Lord of creation, as the total vasana. sum total of all the impressions, even those possible that may not have fructified yet. And then on a microcosmic level, Paramatma, my own self, then there's my own particular proclivities, which impel this equipment into activity. This seemingly impossible fact. How is it that consciousness, which is one without a second, kutastha, the word that Panchadasi has been using, still and immovable like a mountain, yet within it is the whole cosmos, and the cosmos itself is organized. It has intelligence, it has direction. And here, Vidyaranya has used the metaphor of starch and a cloth. They become one. And you get nice stiff cloth. Next verse.
Meghakashama Mahakasho Vivicyetena Pamaraihi Tadvad Brahmeshayereikyam Pashyantya Patadarshinaha. As the dull-witted imagine that the Akasha reflected in a cloud is the Akasha absolute, so the undiscriminating do not see the distinction between Brahman and Ishvara.
So again, our problem is for those who are attached to Ishvara, here meaning the Lord, or our various forms of God. When we start Kena Upanishad this coming Saturday, one of the refrains that happens in the first section, it is not that which you worship here. So we have the goddess, we have Krishna, we have Shiva, it can be Jesus, it can be Buddha, it can be Allah. However you see God as other. In the 12-step traditions, they say the only thing you need to know about God is you're not it. And this is true if you are identified with the ego, with the body. So if you are ego identified, what's the practice? Ishvara pranitana, trustful surrender to God. Bow down, surrender your will, your life, everything to Ishvara, the Lord, however you understand it. But as Cana will say, it is not that which you worship here. What is the God behind the gods? Consciousness alone, which is never known or experienced as other, but as aham, myself. Now, there are jnanis, men and women of knowledge, who are seen to engage in intense devotional experiences. The one who comes to mind is Sri Ramakrishna, who is a priest at a Kali temple. in Calcutta. And he would just go off into these ecstasies, and he would dress up as the mother, and so one with her in his devotion to the mother. But my point is, do not let philosophical inconsistency keep you from reveling in the infinite, however it works best for you. If the way you can touch that Brahmananda rasa, that juice of the bliss of Brahman, is through devotion, knock yourself out. If it's singing the Lord's praises, knock yourself out. Or none of this is for me. Into Maunam silence. But here, Vidyaranya is saying, those who are attached to the worship of an external God, there's a place beyond that. Any thoughts about this? This apparent paradox. Next verse.
उपरामादिभिर्लिङ्गैः तात्पर्यस्य विचारणात् असङ्गं ब्रह्म मायावी सृज्यत्येष महेश्वरः. By deep inquiry and by the application of the rules of interpretation to the Vedic text, we come to know that Brahman is associationless and unconditioned by Maya, whereas Ishvara is the creator conditioned by Maya.
So the creator God is conditioned by Maya, meaning it is the Lord of the universe in the world of name and form, can be ascribed qualities, love, mercy, forgiveness, power, truth. But the pure self, Nirguna Brahman, is Nirupam, without a form, without any quality. And again, it all depends on where the yogi is. So if you're in a particular state where you're identified, no blame. By all means, hang on to the feet of the Lord. But if your mind becomes supremely sattvic, drop all of that. And again, do not let philosophical inconsistency, I'm a non-dualist, I can't ask for help. You're going to be in deep trouble if you're identified with the ego and you're suffering. Because then all you've got is your own puny willpower. Any thoughts on this? Next verse.
Satyam Jnanamanantam Chet Upakram Satyam Jnanamanantam Chet Upakramyopa Pasamhritam Yato Vacho Nivartanta Ityasangatva Nirnayah. The Vedas declare Brahman to be truth, knowledge, and infinity, and also that speech and the other organs cannot grasp it. Thus, it is determined that Brahman is associationless.
Yes. So here Vidyaranya is in fact referring to Kena Upanishad, where speech cannot go there, the senses cannot go there, the mind cannot go there. Nothing can get to Brahman. It is not perceivable through the senses. You cannot see, hear, taste, touch, or smell the sound. It's not a feeling. It's not a thought. Yet it is not unknowable. It is unknowable as an object, but it is not unknown. How do you know you are you? You know what is you. Right. The self is its own means of knowledge. And listen carefully. That's the only knowledge that's real. And the great cosmic joke is everybody already has it. We just don't realize it in the moment. It could be gained, it could be lost. Next verse.
Mahi srijati vishvam sanni aniruddhastatra mayaya anya ityapara bruhi shratissteneshvara srijet. Another Shruti says that Ishvara, the Lord of Maya, creates the universe, whereas the Jiva is controlled by Maya. So Ishvara, associated with Maya, is the creator.
Yes. So sometimes referred to as Brahma, the creator, Ishvara, the Lord. So that is the power, the Maya Shakti of the infinite, by which all this comes about. And in this world of name and form are these apparent individual beings. Now, we get a taste of this in the dream state. So, first I go to sleep. My personal experience of Maya, mini Maya. Then my own mini Ishvara takes over and creates the dream. And I create a dream body with a dream jiva, a dream ego. I am in the dream. And there's the phenomenal world outside and the world of thoughts and feelings inside. What is the material cause of all the characteristics of the dream? Me. What's the instrumental cause? Me. Who's doing it? Me. It is nothing but my own mind appearing as all of that, microcosm. And in a sense, this waking state is nothing but a very long and very vivid dream. Now, the sentience, the awareness that illumines the dream state, is the same awareness that illumines the waking state. And in samadhi, when the mind ends, that awareness remains. So what? Take it easy. If I have a dream that my dog dies, no dog died. In the waking state world, there is this dream of relatives passing away, war in places in the world, politics here, this, that, and the other thing. All it is the play of mind, shall we say, with a capital M. The work of Ishvara. But the substratum, the being, Baba, never touched. Next verse.
Anandamaya Ishoya Bahusyamityavaikshat Hiranyagarbharupo Bhut Supti Swapno Yatha Bhavet. As the deep sleep state passes into dream state, so Ishvara, who is known as the sheath of bliss, transforms himself into Hiranyagarbha when he, the one, wills to be many.
Yes. So again, these are technical terms drawn from Mandukya. So macrocosmically and microcosmically. So macrocosmically, we have the total vasana, Ishvara, which is a homogeneous mass of bliss, Anandamaya. Microcosmically, I have deep sleep, which is my personal experience of the Anandamaya Kosha, the bliss sheath. And then he says it passes into mind. Macrocosmically, we get Hiranyagarbha, literally the golden egg, usually translated as the total mind, the sum total of all the minds in creation, past, present, and future. The sum total of all the thoughts and feelings and memories and images. And this becomes the mechanism by which the multiplicity of the world takes place. Microcosmically, individually, it's my subtle body. Now, when the subtle body operates all on its own, we call it the dream state. where that potentiality in deep sleep then manifests as an imagined world of name and form. In the waking state world, the phenomenal universe is only the grossified form. Next verse.
Krameణ युगपद्वैषा सृष्टिज्ञया यथा श्रुति विविध श्रुतिसद्भावात् विविधस्वप्नदर्शनात्. There are two types of Shruti text describing the creation of the world, either as a gradual evolution or as instantaneous. There is no contradiction, for the dream world sometimes arises gradually out of deep sleep, but at other times it arises instantaneously.
Yes. So, does the phenomenal world evolve? There was the first Vasana at the Big Bang, and then it evolves through time. Or is it now? Now. And what Vidyaranya is saying is, it really doesn't matter which way you look at it. Don't get caught up in that. The point to understand is that it is like a dream. Sarvam idam swapnayati. All of this is like a dream. Seen, but not real. So what? Take it easy. Don't worry. You are never touched by it. And neither is the self of the people we love. Only Namarupa, name and form, changes. And that's a constant. But the underlying Sat existence, the underlying Bhava being, you are a conscious, sentient being. You do not have awareness. You are awareness. And that is inviolate. Look to your direct experience. Our bodies have changed over time. Circumstances have changed. Relationships have changed. But anytime we stop and notice the knower, the self in me has never changed. Neither has the self in anyone else. Next verse.
Sutratma Sukshmadehakhyah Sarvajiva Ghanatmakah Sarvahamana धारित्वात् क्रियाज्ञानादिशक्तिमान् Hiranyagarbha or Sutratman, otherwise called the subtle body, is the totality of the subtle bodies of all jivas. He conceives himself as the totality of all egos or I consciousnesses, like the threads of a piece of cloth, and he is said to be endowed with the powers of volition, conation, and cognition.
Volition, and what was the second one?
It says conation. I don't know what that means.
I don't know what that means either. Anybody else help us out?
It says the mental faculty of purpose, desire, or will to perform an action or volition.
Okay.
So in the Sanskrit, Jim, it says Dharitva Kriya Jnanadi. So it's basically Kriya Jnanadi Shaktiman. So it's basically saying action, knowledge, and that's all it's saying. Action and knowledge, I think.
And power.
And Shaktiman, which is like the powers. It is endowed with the powers.
Yes. So the whole point is what we consider the powers of my individuality. I choose to do this, I choose to not do that, I act this way, I don't act that way, I know this piece of information, I don't know that particular piece of information. All of these qualities, these are the attributes in the West that are attributed to the soul. We would say in the East, the transmigrating soul, or the jiva, the feeling that I'm a person. And in that is this jiva bhavana, this feeling that I'm an individual. What he's saying here is that's my subtle body. And the totality of all that is Hiranyagarbha, the golden egg, the total mind. So listen carefully. This feeling that I'm a person is a kind of thinking and feeling. It is not a being. You are the being. You are Kevala, alone, one without a second. What is diverse? Individual little clumps of thinking and feeling, which are manifested, imagined by Ishvara. Next one.
Pratyushe va pradoshe va magno mande tamasyayam loko bhati yatha tadvad spashtam jagadikshyate. The world in its course of evolution comes to rest in Hiranyagarbha, but at this stage it is indistinct, just as an object seen in partial darkness at dawn or dusk.
So, in the mind of God, in the infinite, it's all set up, it's all unfolding according to a divine plan. So in the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord Krishna says to Arjuna, Don't worry, dude. The battle's already been done, and you won. And all of these beings, chomp, chomp, chomp. I am devouring time. So, what is Vidyaranya inviting us to do? Don't worry. Yeah, but what about the politics and the war and the death and the famine? Yeah, it's there. And if at the level of Vyavahara transactions, we are led to act to make a difference, do it. But even that is part of God's plan. So the yogi gives up the unexamined idea that Ishvara is an underachiever. Well, he may be infinite in power and infinite intelligence, but he's obviously not living up to his potential. How do I know this? He's not doing it my way. Let go and let God. Wonderful way. This way. Now, that doesn't mean that my thoughts, feelings, and actions are apart from the process. I like to use the example, you go out on your porch in the morning and a dog has pooped on your porch. Oh, karma, will of God, dog poop on the porch. Yes, that's true. Now, clean it up. That's also God's will. This is not a teaching that invites us to be passive to life. That's a misunderstanding. It's a teaching that invites us to give up struggle. There's a difference. Any thoughts on this? Next verse.
सर्वतो लाञ्छितो मर्ष्य यथा स्यात् धट्टितः पटः सूक्ष्माकारैः तथेशस्य वपु सर्वत्र लाञ्छितम्. As the outlines of a picture are drawn, as the outlines of a picture are drawn in black pencil on a stiffened piece of canvas, so also the subtle bodies indistinctly appear in Hiranyagarbha.
Yes, so we don't see the subtle bodies. They're not visible to us. Only thing we see are the physical. Just like when in classical Indian painting, the characters are outlined in black pencil first, and then the color is added. When you see it, you don't see the outline. And actually, the same thing happens in Western art. That's where the origin of the term cartoon comes from. So you can see, for example, cartoons of Michelangelo's frescoes, etc. These were like drawings that they would do on the wall, and then they would be filled in. So the idea that he's getting at is there's something there as a support, as a background, and that's my mental and emotional life. That becomes the support. Not seen there. Now, some of us who have clairvoyance can see subtle bodies. Puneet and Sound just got back from a Vipassana retreat, and the meditation master had asked Puneet if he's seeing beings in his meditation. He said, "You will. What are these beings that I'm seeing? Those are various subtle bodies on various levels. But not everybody sees them. It's not important. It's not necessary." Any thoughts on this? Next verse.
Sasyam va shakajatam va sarvatom kuritam yatha komalam tadvad evaisha pelavo jagadankurah. Like a tender offshoot of a germinated corn or like a tender plant sprouting, Hiranyagarbha is the tender bud of the world which is still indistinct.
Yes. So this cosmic subtle body, here it's like a little tender shoot of a plant, becomes the potentiality of everything. Let's see if we can get a real live experience of this. In our contemporary world, with its siloed news media, social media, we have ideas that circulate and then become incredibly powerful. We've just, for example, passed the 3rd anniversary of the riots, the incredible chaos of January 6th, where the US Capitol was overrun. Now, I'm sure these were sincere, liberty-loving, patriotic people. But there was an idea in the subtle body of the US, communicated in all these ways. This idea had power to impel these thousands of people into action. There's a very clear example of what Vidyaranya is talking about. They become the shoot. They become the sprout of action. And in fact, macrocosmically, it becomes the sprout of the whole world. It propels the world into its various forms of activity. Any thoughts on this? Next verse.
Atapa bhata loko va pato va varna puritah sasyam va phalitam yatvad tatha spashtavapur virat. In Virat, the world appears distinct and shining, like objects in broad daylight, or like the figures of a fully painted picture or the fruit of a fully matured tree. In Virat, all the gross bodies are plainly seen.
So the Virat, the waking state, the phenomenal world, the Jagat, everything is clear and distinct and available through our senses. And here he compares it to a fruit, because it is the fruit of the subtle ideas of Hiranyagarbha, which is the multiplicity set into motion by Ishvara. Or on a microcosmic level, my body. And do you know we have a body grosser than the physical body? Scriptures don't talk about this. What is the body that's grosser than my physical body? Anybody have an idea?
Body of our affairs and relations.
Yes, exactly. The body of my affairs. Meaning what this physical body does in the Virat, in the phenomenal world. Why did I go here? Why did I do this? Why did I meet that person? Why did I shop for this? The body of my affairs is a body that's even grosser than my physical body. That's the Virat. That's the phenomenal world. So macrocosmically, Ishvara, the total vasana, then impels Hiranyagarbha, the total mind, which then manifests as the Virat, the waking state world. Worms and the germs and the stars and the galaxies, all of it. Microcosmically, my vasanas, my karana sharira, my causal body, then impel my thoughts and feelings, my sukshma sharira, my subtle body, which then out pictures as my stula sharira, my gross body. Which then does its vyavahara, its transactions in the world. All right, next verse.
विश्वरूपाध्याया एष उक्तसूक्तेऽपि पौरुषे धात्रादिस्तम्भ पर्यन्तान् एतस्या vayavaन् viduh. In the Vishvarupa chapter and in the Purusha Sukta, there is a description of Virat. From the creator Brahma to a blade of grass, all objects in the world form part of Virat.
Yes. So here he's footnoting in the scriptures the Virat, the total waking state world, the phenomenal world, includes every phenomenal form. From the gods down to a blade of grass. There is nothing outside of consciousness. Next verse.
Isha Sutra Virang virangadho Vishnurendra Vahangayah Vigna Bhairava Mairalam Vigna Bhairava Mairala Marikaya Ksharakshasah. The forms of Virat, such as Ishvara, Hiranyagarbha, Virat, Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, Indra, Agni, Ganesha, Bhairava, Mairala, Marika, Yakshas, and demons. I think it's a long list that's
Yes.
split over multiple verses.
So the point of it all is any form, gross or subtle, that we can conceive of is just a form imagined in the mind of the infinite. Going on.
Should I just do the next two verses together, Jim? They are both the continuation of the same list. Viprakshatriya, Vishudra, Gavashva, Mrigapakshinaha, Ashvathavatachutadhya, Yavavrihitra, Nadayah, Jalapashanamritkashta, Vasya, Kuddalakadayah, Ishvara sarva evaite, Pujita phaladayinah. Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, Shudras, cows, horses, and other beasts, birds, fig, banyan, and mango trees, wheat, rice, and other cereals and grasses, water, stone, earth, sticks, chisels, axes, and other implements are manifestation of Ishvara. Worshipped as Ishvara, they grant fulfillment of desires.
Yes. So again, it's easy to understand if I go to the dream state. If I dream I have a car, if I dream I'm on a road, if the road's on a mountain, if there's gravel on the road that causes the car to slip, if there's people in the car, all of those elements are nothing but my mind. Why did I dream about what I dreamt? Because of various impressions, which then outpicture as the story of my dream. All this is like a dream in the mind of the infinite. With no exception. Going on.
Yatha yatho pasate tam phalamiyustatha tatha phalotkarshapakarsho tu puja pujanusaratah. In whatever form Ishvara is worshipped, the worshipper obtains the appropriate reward through that form. If the method of worship and the conception of the attributes of the deity worshipped are of a high order, the reward also is of a high order. But if otherwise, it is not.
So again, he's echoing what Krishna says in Gita: in whatever way people approach me, so am I to them. So how do you conceive of God? If you conceive of God as a being who's going to give you what you want, then you may have a puja to propitiate that God. You're going to set up Lakshmi in your business and call for the pujari to do the puja so that you get rich. But it's the same in other cultures. I'm going to do the rosary for Aunt Betty so that she gets over her cancer. That's the ritual that we do to propitiate the God, to get it to do what we want. That's a lower form of the view of the infinite. Now, the Master Jesus gave us a great teaching about this. He said, whatsoever you ask, believing, so shall you receive. He was pointing at the law of sankalpa. Any sankalpa, thought, wish, will, intention, consistently maintained that isn't contradicted or conflicted, tends towards grossification or manifestation. Listen carefully. Prayer doesn't change God. There's no Lakshmi out there saying, I just need some puja today, or I'm going to just not be satisfied. So I'm waiting for some pujari to give me some puja today, and then I'll give him a little bit of wealth. There's no such God. But if you believe that doing the puja will invoke the beneficence of the deity, it will happen. Maybe. As long as it's consistently maintained and not conflicted or contradicted. And as long as it doesn't go against Ishvara's sankalpa. I don't care how much prayer work you do, nobody gets out alive. You can blunt the force of karma, maybe extend life, but you're going to die. Nobody through mantra or crystals or stones can change the speed of light. That's Ishvara Sankalpa. But we have a lot more freedom than we think we do. How does the world come about? Sankalpena, by means of wish, will, intention. Scriptures thunder it. Now, this is not an invitation to set up our personal will and try to make stuff happen. Again, going back to the Master Jesus, who was a great Siddha yogi, performed great miracles. What did he say? I myself do no thing. It is the Father within that doeth the work. It was his complete surrender to Ishvara that allowed all this stuff to happen. There's a wonderful story in the Christian scripture. Jesus and his followers are walking down the road, and a woman with an issue of blood, she had some sort of a hemorrhage going on, comes up behind him and touches his robe. And he stops and turns and says, who has touched me? And what the scripture says is, for he had felt power go out of him. I just love that story. So open, so surrendered. No person there. That this woman, desirous of grace, just had to touch him and whoosh, came rushing through it. Marvelous story. All of this comes about by the intention of the infant. And we, as individuals, participate in it. So as we mature spiritually, our prayer life matures. Soon we find that, oh, it's really not about an attempt to change the deity. Prayer doesn't change God, prayer changes the one who's praying. The most effective prayer, thy will be done. This alignment of the head and the heart. With the grace, the flow, the love, the power of the infinite. I of myself do no thing. It is Ishvara within me that does all things. But your prayer may be, oh God, please make Dad give me the car tonight so I can go out and have a good time. That may not work. Any thoughts on this? Next verse. Are you there, Ganesh?
Yeah, I've lost which verse it is. I'm just trying to figure it out. Okay, yeah. Muktistu brahmatatvasya jnanadev na chanyatha swaprabodham vina naiva swaswapnau hiyate yatha. The liberation, however, can be obtained through the knowledge of reality and not otherwise. The dreaming does not end until the dreamer awakes.
So, what does Buddha mean? The Buddhi, the intellect, becomes Buddha awake. What does that mean? When I'm under the influence of avidya, ignorance, because of Maya, the universal, delusory power of the infinite, I feel bound, meaning I think I'm a person, I think I'm the body, and I think the world is solid and real and is inherently joy giving and misery producing. But if I inquire into the nature of myself and into the nature of the world, what do I find? Aham Brahmasmi. I am Brahma. What about this world? Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya. Brahman alone is the Jagat, the Virat, the world of name and form is Mithya, illusory. How does it come about? What makes it happen? Sankalpena, by means of the intention of the infant. Next one.
Advitiya Brahma Tattve Swapnoyam Akhilam Jagat Isha Jivadi Rupena Chetana Chetanatmakam. In the secondless principle, Brahman, the whole universe, in the form of Ishvara and Jiva and all inanimate and animate objects, appears like a dream.
Yes. So just as I said, all of this appears like a dream. If you clearly examine your own dream state, you will understand the essence of Vedanta. So I like to say, if you close your eyes and you visualize a sailboat and you open your eyes, this mysterious thing has happened. How is it that awareness, consciousness itself has forked into subject object? There's no second substance out of which I made my imaginary sailboat. And if I dream about a sailboat, there's a similarity to my fancy, my imagination, and a difference. The similarity is the sailboat of the dream is equally imagined. It's not real. But because of the precondition of sleep, to the dreamer, the dream sailboat seems. So when I'm in the dream state of spiritual ignorance, I, Jim, am a person with a dream body that seems to be me, functioning in a dream world, but it seems so real, and it really causes me problems. And what Vidyaranya is saying is, truth is, you are that Tattvamasi. Self in you is that Brahman. This world, it too is Brahman. Names and forms appear like a dream. Don't worry. It's all okay. What number are we on?
We just finished 211. Next week, 212.
All right. So I think we go up to like 250 something in this chapter. We'll quit here tonight. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Sri Guru Pyo Namaha. Hari Om.